The man behind Portuguese Timor's revolutionary Fretilin group says his forces are fighting a revolution that nobody sought. Ramos-Horta says that all he ever wanted was for his country to have the right to be independent from Portugal sometime in the future. Portugal's new rulers were willing, but people like the UDT and Apodeti, he says, got in the way, either wanting to slow things down intolerably or to introduce Indonesian rule. Horta says Fretilin was left with no alternative but to take up its bows and arrows and fight for its country's freedom. Fretilin has the upper hand at the moment, but an Indonesian invasion could quickly change that. For its part, Australia says Portugal should sort it all out, but Portugal's leaders have problems of their own right now. We've not seen much film from Timor, partly because the Australian government has hampered journalists in their attempts to get into the area. TV1 newsman Tony Smith with cameraman Leo Shelton and soundman John Carpenter filmed this exclusive report.
Timor, 640 kilometres off the Australian coast. Until August, an island where nothing much happened, and the only visitors were the odd Australians over for the weekend and hippies following the drug trail. Then, early in August, a right-wing political party, the Timorese Democratic Union, or UDT, staged a coup. They had the backing of the police. It was here at Dili Airport that they set up their headquarters and held out until Fretilin, the Revolutionary Front of Independent East Timor, got the army on their side. They swapped their bows and arrows for automatic weapons, and in the civil war which followed, at least 2,000 people died. This was the village of Colomera in the poorest quarter of Dili. It housed about 5,000 people, and also here was the headquarters of the Timorese National Workers' Union. That's a union which is controlled by Fretilin. On the night of August the 11th, only hours after the original coup, it was surrounded by UDT soldiers and burnt to the ground. This was a pattern which was repeated throughout the country. Fretilin homes were razed, their occupants either fled to the hills or were slaughtered. The civil war is one full of anomalies. Fretilin's greatest threat comes from the Indonesians, who are openly arming the UDT and sending their own troops across the border to attack Fretilin outposts. And yet, over the Indonesian consulate in Dili, the Indonesian flag still flies. And inside the ground, supporters of Apodeti, a third political party which hasn't taken part in the fighting, have sought refuge. Fretilin provides them with food, and normally we saw only a couple of soldiers on guard. On this occasion, Fretilin had been told there were 3 high-ranking UDT members hiding there. Nevertheless, the troops waited patiently outside in case the UDT men should be unwise enough to step onto the road. They've got strict instructions not to infringe Indonesian sovereignty.